So the WEED-IT project is a great one for Olds College because it's allowing us, first of all, to build our team and our ability to do validation and evaluation projects with new technologies. So the WEED-IT technology is relatively well established. It's already been adopted in a number of farms in Alberta, but there are some sort of basic functionality questions to be answered about the efficiency of the technology and of the equipment that we are able to robustly evaluate in our field and plot scale conditions. So it's a great project because it's helping us build our team, but it's also answering relevant questions that producers have about the spot spray technology.
WEED-IT technology basically enables farmers to spot spray their weeds, or all plant material, because it detects chlorophyll. So how it works is that there's sensors spaced 1 meter apart on the boom. So the sensors emit a blue light in front of the spray boom, and what that does is when the blue light hits plants with chlorophyll in it, it emits a red infrared light wave back, and then it knows to spray that plant. So then it uses that individual nozzle in the section of the sensor, and it's able to then spray that plant individually. So the WEED-IT technology has 3 different functions. There's either the spot spray, the dual spray, and the full coverage. So spot spray is only spraying the weeds individually when it sees them. Whereas dual function, it will spot spray the weeds, but you can also apply a bias or a cover rate. So that cover rate will be marginally less or quite a bit less chemical versus the spot spray. So that way you're spot spraying the weeds, but at the same time you can apply like a smaller blanket application to cover any tiny emerging weeds that are just coming up that the sensor isn't detecting. And lastly, coverage, full cover, is just a blanket application like a typical sprayer. So with the use of pulse width modulation, it's ensuring that you're always getting the same pressure because you're constantly changing your velocity or the flow rate depending on how many weeds are out. So you can set your margin and your sensitivity. So a margin meaning how far in front and behind the weed you're going to be spraying. Maybe on a windy day you might want to set that a little more. And then you set your sensitivity to control kind of how big the weeds are that you spray. So it's just on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the tiniest of weeds, 5 being the larger weeds. So application-wise, you could use this pre-seeding. You can use it pre-harvest for desiccation, just to spray your weeds out, and also as a post-harvest. They're also talking that it will be available to be used, or should have the functionality to be used during emerging crop to be able to spray out the bigger weeds without spraying the crop itself.
We are using the WEED-IT technology on our farm at small field scale, so in small strips within one of our full fields, as well as some plot scale evaluations. So the size of equipment that we have isn't suited for full field applications, but we are treating a large number of acres on our commercial farm operation, as well as the plots.
So what we're learning is the chemical use efficiencies using a spot spray versus the dual spray function versus the full cover rate. And so what we're doing is doing replicated trials to see how much chemical is used when we're just doing spot spray versus a full cover, to see exactly what the economics of that are, and to see your chemical savings and your chemical use reduction. We're also learning that the sun has an impact on it. That the way you set your sensitivity and your margin will greatly impact your spray use, as well as the type of nozzle you're using. We learned that when we use the specified nozzle by the dealer, it works great to spot spray the weeds, but when we're using different nozzles, it may spray too big of an area, or it's just not as effective in just spot spraying and reducing that chemical usage. Looking forward, we're also looking at doing a coverage and a hit or miss to see how repeatable the sprayer is at always hitting the same weeds each time, and making sure that every pass you're using the same amount of chemical and you're hitting each and every weed. We're also looking to see coverage-wise at different velocities, how your application changes, how the velocity of the spray application changes, and how your coverage on that weed is different as well.
The main benefit of the WEED-IT technology is reduced chemical use. So anecdotal evidence is indicating that up to 80% of chemical use can be reduced by using the spot spray technology. And based on some of our preliminary results, we're seeing anywhere from 60 to 75% reduction as well. So we're able to, I guess, more robustly determine that chemical use reduction, as well as follow through the different treatments to see how that chemical use reduction impacts overall yield. So the full economic benefit of using the spot spray technology can be evaluated with our data.